Yo, what's up guys, Say Chronicles here with a video talking about the new unit. So we got the nine-tailed fox. Probably everyone's asking like, okay, which one is good? Should I pull them on banner? Should I maybe save my scrolls or anything like that? So I will be reviewing these units in this video and then looking at, okay, which would I recommend you to summon or maybe not, depending also on which character you're leveling or maybe also what playstyle you like to do. But first of all, please like this video and subscribe to the channel because I'm still trying to grow this channel, so that definitely helps me. Also, before we get into the video, I would like to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is the Huawei App. If you're planning to buy packs within Chronicles, I recommend you to buy them cheaper, and Huawei AppGallery can help you with that. How does that work out? First, you would have to download the Huawei AppGallery, first link in the description, download the HMS core, and then also create an account. Once we have that all set up, we can search for summoners for our Chronicles, and we can see over here that we can install the game. Once the game is installed, we can also see that we have the campaign over here, which is the current running campaign where you can get your coupons for discounts. As you can see right here, there's a bunch of coupons that you can claim very easily. You hit the claim button, you get those. You can use those coupons to get a certain amount of discount. Also, I highly recommend to join their Discord, which is linked all the way at the bottom, but also in the description down below. If you want to keep track of all of their discount, all of their coupons, all of their other activities that they're doing. Also, if there's any problems with your purchase, there's very friendly people there in their Discord to help you out with any of those problems. And therefore, it makes it very easy for you to get discounts on your packs in Summoners or Chronicles. Once we have those coupons claimed, we can easily go into the game, use the coupons, and have a discount on our next packs. Once we're in the game, we can very simply go to a certain pack that we would like to buy. For example, this one. We can hit the confirm button. And we go to the Huawei purchase window. In here on the bottom left, which I'm kind of sitting in front of, you can see which kind of coupon you're using. So always select the best coupon that you have available. And then you can select your preferred way of paying. Afterwards, this screen simply takes you back to the game and you successfully purchase the pack with a discount using the Huawei App Gallery. So once again, I would like to thank Huawei App Gallery for sponsoring this video. And let's get on to the video. So now that we get back into the video. So we have those for about 2 weeks that we can summon them with the banners. Let's look at the units itself. So as I would like to mention, always when you read a unit in this game, it's always slightly different than actually knowing how a unit works. So technically, you would actually have to test it to see whether it's good or not good. But let's start with the first one, Shihwa. Shihwa has the crit rest down, which not that many units have, and then crit damage up, which also a few units have. So right away, this unit is very interesting for the new raid that came out in NA, which is for Rackle, which a lot of people use Verdi Heal to do the crit rest down. That adds up a lot of damage, and then also crit damage up. So this stacks a lot and a lot of crit damage on your team and also on the enemy boss. But let's see, first of all, what kind of its crit rate. Crit rate on the book is not that great, but that's okay. So let's look at the skills. So first skill we have if you do not land a crit, we have crit rest down. So technically you don't want this unit to crit, which is somewhat strange for a damage dealer. But therefore I would say, okay, something you would put towards a lot of attack, maybe fatal, but maybe also something that just happens every now and then. Because if you do not crit, you land this always, which is pretty a lot. So if you just go, wait, that's actually kind of weird, because if no critical hits land, but your book goes into critical rate, that's somewhat strange though. Like I'm not really sure why that's the case, but okay. So then we have Phantom Light. Applies Phantom Light, attacks 3 times, uses Phantom Light, meditate if one of the nine-tailed fox. So the Phantom Light level or above, it will do something else. So okay, so that's Phantom Light. That's a specific buff that only these units have for all of them. Pretty lengthy on the text, but let's look at it, what it is. So we have Phantom Light 3, we will get that as the buff. We will hit based on attack. If the caster has Phantom Light 6+, it uses meditate 1 for 1 time. Okay, that's the next skill. So let's see. Okay, attacks the enemy, applies movement speed up to the team members. That's pretty nice for bossing. Once again, very good bossing unit as far as I see. I would say a very good raid unit in general. So for Rackle, this would definitely be a very good unit for Rackle. March, probably also pretty good unit for March. Naraka, maybe as well. You don't need to dodge as much in Naraka or White Castle. I would definitely say that this one is also pretty good in raids for what I've seen so far. But let's continue. If the target's water creature, increase the team summoner's mana. Okay, if the target is a wind creature, applies skill acceleration to the summoner's team. If the team is light or dark, you apply mana region up to the team. Okay, then This skill increases the damage creature based on Phantom Light level and consumes Phantom Light level after activating. Okay, so the moment you have above 6, which means you probably have to do it twice if I'm not mistaken. It is a 26 second cooldown on a 4 mana cost. And then we also see like, okay, what kind of damage does it do? So if it's a fire creature, you will get your mana up pretty fast, but you also consume it. So you cannot really spam this just to get your ult up pretty fast, I think. But you have a bunch of different things what you can do or what happens with it. Farrakle actually has a specific element, whereas the other raids bosses don't really have any elements. So this is somewhat focusing towards like an elemental boss kind of thing in a certain way. So I would say sounds good for Farrakle. Let's see the other skill. Other skill is also a 26 and a 4. Applies Phantom Light to itself and applies crit damage up to itself. So it's to itself, not to the whole team. That is actually somewhat worse than, for example, a Windy. Windy applies it to the whole team. This unit only applies it to himself or herself. And therefore the crit rate does make a little bit more sense, but if you have a 100% crit rate, you're never going to land this. So that's somewhat of a weird thing. I guess it's something that if the boss has a lot of crit rate resist, you start to land your crit rate rest down, and if you don't, you start doing your normal damage. I think it's something along the lines of that. You still have 100% crit rate on there, but the moment there's crit rest, you start landing crit rest down. I think that's kind of the way that you're pretty much guaranteeing you're always critting with this unit, no matter crit rest or not. Okay, let's continue. So we have Phantom Light unremovable. We have the crit damage up. Okay, that goes for 16 seconds. And then if you have 6+, you will use the meditate. And is the meditate exactly the same as in the first skill? It seems that way. So whether you use your Q skill or your E skill, it will do exactly the same skill in the end. I am then also not entirely sure why you should choose to do one or another. It seems that this is a 3-hit, so therefore it probably maybe stacks more light. Yeah, I think the Q stacks more Phantom Light, and the other skill stacks the crit damage up. Okay, so probably a unit you probably don't really would use as a link, but just have it do its own skills. Then we also have Phantom Light, and every 5 seconds you will get the Phantom Light skill thingy up. So yeah, definitely PvE unit. Definitely would not use this in PvP. 100% PvE unit. And then for ultimate, it's a upped version of the E skill, which is more crit damage up. And then also, well, just an improved version of all of those skills. So definitely 100% PvE unit. If you're looking towards a PvE unit and you don't really have one yet, this could be an option. But then again, most people already have Arang and that kind of stuff. So not really sure. Let's look at the next unit, Soha. And Soha is the water version. It is a support, whereas Shihwa was an archer, so we have a support over here. The book goes towards accuracy. That does make a lot of sense, seeing that we have the remove beneficial effects. We also have spell shields. We have damage taken down, which is pretty nice as well. And then we also have HP recovery. So let's see how that looks like. So S1 is nothing. Okay, pretty simple. Then we have S2, which is a 3 cost in 20 seconds. Recover HP allied target, so that's 1 target if I'm not mistaken. And then with a certain phantom level or above, additionally recovers more HP to nearby allies. So this only recovers more if there is a higher level of that phantom stuff already going on. This skill, however, doesn't apply any phantom, so that would have to come from the other skills, it seems. So we recover 31% of max, and then we also give more recovery up, okay? And then above 4, it's even more. And then if the cats have 4+, we have Phantom level 10 down. I'm not entirely sure what Phantom Light level 10 down would mean. Maybe if you use it, then it removes the full stack. I think it's something like that. But yeah, I think that would make sense. So every time that you use it and it has the 4+ Phantom level, it will go down to 0. Makes sense. Okay, then we have the E skill, which is a 26 on a 4. And that is applies Phantom Light to itself, then recovers the HP of nearby allies and removes beneficial effects on the enemy within an area. So that actually does 2 things for a 4 cost. That's actually pretty good. So it applies the Phantom Light. It also goes for the HP recovery on your team in AoE and a strip. It only strips 2, it doesn't strip the full thing, but it's an AoE strip. So that's pretty nice. So we have AoE strip, AoE heal, and upon successful strips, you also get more stacks to do more heals on this skill later. That sounds pretty interesting as a unit in the first place. So then we also have the passive. This is a continuous effect. Whenever it recovers a warrior or an assassin monster, applies damage taken down. If the target's current HP is a certain ratio below, it also applies a spell shield. Okay, so that only counts for warriors and for assassins. Big question for me here is, well, Cleave is a knight, so that doesn't count. We don't have warrior assassin summoners yet, so this would only count if you would run, for example, a Garo, if you would run like Athmas, those kind of units. So if it recovers any of those units, it also gives spell shields, and it gives the damage taken down, so depending on like how much HP they have. So I guess if they're below 50, they get both, which is pretty strong. So Garo with a Soha seems pretty strong. Then for the ultimate, we have a upgraded skill of the E skill, and that is just a full stack of Phantom Light, pretty much, well, half HP recovery, AoE, and then also remove all beneficial effects in the radius. We don't know exactly what kind of radius these skills are at, if it's a big radius, small radius, how our AI is, does she walk through the unit, that kind of stuff. I know Juno, for example, I complained about her a bunch of times for healing at random spots and that kind of stuff, so she seems pretty interesting, but she would be mostly interesting if you're playing a lot of warriors and assassins. So that would be, I would say for Cleave maybe, well, I think for all three characters this could be pretty interesting. So that is Soha. Then continuing on to the next one, Arang, which is a mage and a wind unit. It goes for the book of crit damage. Basic attack is nothing. Then we have the skill E or the skill Q. Q is 20 seconds with a 3 mana cost. And we have apply Phantom Light, attacks the enemy 3 times. Each hit has a certain chance to apply Electric Shock, which is a very strong debuff if you don't know. Which is actually one of the stronger debuffs in the game, and also somewhat of a rare debuff, I would say. You don't see it all too much. In addition, applies Phantom Light to itself for every Electric Shock applied. Okay, that's not bad, not bad. You need some accuracy on it. So what can we see here? Unremovable, okay, damage, and then we have Electric Shock, and that goes not that high of a range, but you will probably get like 1 or 2 stacks on that. Then we have the E skill, and the E skill is 26 seconds with a 4 mana cost. And we have Strike Down and Thunderbolt, attack and apply Electric Shock, so double Electric Shock appliers. If the Nine-Tailed Fox has a certain level of Phantom Light above, it increases the skill range. Okay, that's pretty interesting. That's actually one of the first skills that does it, I would say. Not sure if it improves the radius or just the range from where you can cast it. I'm not 100% sure about that. And increases the damage based on the Phantom Light, applies Electric Shock after removing immunity. And consumes Phantom Light. This skill also destroys the target's base HP. So this is a destroy built-in, which is pretty nice. We don't really have that too much yet. We have a lot of bruiser meta with a lot of immunity of Wusa, Shushu. Cleaves mainly like to play that, and you're just playing like Ariel, Shushu, Lulu, or not Lulu, well, maybe Lulu as well, but Junos, all of those kind of units with immunity. You're playing a lot for like surviving and that kind of stuff. And then this unit actually comes in and it removes immunity, but it only removes immunity if you have 5 Phantom Light plus. So hopefully in the past we get some more Phantom Light. And then we also have like the Phantom Light down and then more Electric Shock. So it applies quite a bunch of Electric Shock, so you don't need to do that much damage on it, I guess. So I would rather go for like an HP crit rate HP kind of build and then get the crit damage just from the book itself. Because this unit has to survive. If this unit is too squishy, there's a bunch of units that are going to kill it. So let's look at the passive. Removes immunity on the target with a certain chance whenever attacked successfully hits. So that's another immunity remove. It's not just from the E skill. We have another immunity remove on this unit, which becomes very interesting against Wusa Shusu once again. In addition, deals damage that destroys their HP once again. On the damage dealt, if the target has burn when applied Electric Shock. Wait. If the target has burn, deals damage that destroys... Okay, so if you already have a burn and then apply Electric Shock, you get extra stuff. If the target has frostbite and you deal damage, then you get death down. Interesting. So you kind of want to pair this with another unit that gives either frostbite or burn and then get these things, which is kind of interesting. We have a 22% rate to remove immunity, which is quite high. That also signals towards like, okay, maybe you want to stack some speed on it because basic attacks also count for these, I would say. So if Electric Shock target has burn, Sounds kind of weird, wordy, but I am not sure if there is electric shock and then I think you have to apply electric shock. So if you apply electric shock and the target has burned, we have a bonus damage and then destroy the HP. And if there's frostbite, there's just additional damage. If there's electric shock and frostbite, okay, so frostbite has multiple things. So there's a death down, there is attribute advantage, and there is extra damage. So pretty nice, I would say, but it sounds very good, but is it necessarily very good? Because this unit has to survive. It doesn't have any survivability by itself, so it has to be protected by either a Kina, a Cleave, or other units, I would say. But I would say that this one has quite some potential as well. For the ultimate, we have an upgraded version of the E, and therefore we remove immunity, we apply electric shock, and I think this would be an AoE kind of thing. I'm not really sure if this strikes down Thunderbolt that attacks enemies. Yeah, so it's AoE. And it has a decent multiplier on the damage. So if you cast an ult with this thing, you probably do quite some damage, which is pretty nice. Only issue I could see is like on paper, this sounds pretty cool. But the thing is, you have to remove immunities, then something has to apply burning or frostbite, and then you do all of the extra stuff. So it does show like, hey, I have death down, but the death down is very conditional. So I'm not too sure if it's that great. Moving on to the next unit. Maybe you're not going to pull this. Well, pretty much most likely you're not going to pull this. So I'm actually going to focus on these three first because those are the ones that you can actually get from the banner easier. But I will talk about these two in a second as well, just to be, well, completed with all of the units. Let's say that. But to just complete the whole family, I will look at these units as well, because these units look pretty interesting in my opinion. So yeah, we have these three units. Which one would I recommend for you to pull? Well, if you care about a PvE unit for future raids, I would say Shihwa might be very interesting. Also for raid boss, like the guild raid and that kind of stuff. Seems pretty interesting for a Shihwa, but is it really a must pick or a must build? Not really. Most people have their Argons or their other units, their Windies and that kind of stuff. I would not say that this is really a must pick, but it seems pretty interesting and pretty nice to actually have in there. And there I remove the unit. Okay, back at the unit. So what do we have for the other two? So Soha, I would say, is pretty good for the current meta where we have a lot of sustain meta, we have a lot of dancing around long time and that kind of stuff. She would fit very well in that. It's kind of a Wusa-ish, or not really a Wusa. It does have the spell shield. It doesn't really have necessarily shields, but it's like a healer that can strip as well. So maybe closer to somewhat of a Praha, but then also doing some other stuff with the spell shields and that kind of stuff. So I think her kit is closest to Praha that you can mention, I would say, but in a different way, and then supporting the warrior and assassin types a lot. So she would fit for, I would say, every character, every of the main summoners. Same for Shihwa, would fit for every of the main characters. And then we have Arang. Arang would, I guess, also kind of fit for every of the main characters. But with her, it's kind of a coin flip for me whether I would say that she's good or not. I would say Soha's the most safe pick out of those. If you want to sum any of them for banner, it's probably Soha. But Arang might be very good, but since no one really tested it, I'm not 100% sure, because I feel like this unit is very easy to die, whereas Soha probably has a lot better base stats for being a support and being more HP based on like recovering from HP and that kind of stuff. So I would say that Arang might be very good, but is also kind of tricky to pull. Mainly would say like, the main issue is for her is like, does she not instantly die when she's trying to apply her stuff? Because you can easily snipe her out. She needs a good protection. So then let's look at the light and dark unit. So we have the light and dark unit, and I've seen the light unit, and that one seems very interesting. So first of all, we have the basic attack, and the basic attack does something extra the moment you have level 6 of the light. And that is the Nocturnal Excursion, if I'm saying that right. Deals extra damage that has attribute advantage to the enemy, increases the number of hits based on the level of light, and then also consumes it. So this one already consumes it right away the moment you get any. So the skills don't consume it. In this case, the basic attack consumes it. We have the Q skill, which is a 3 cost, 20 seconds, applied a light to itself, hits 3 times. Each hit steals the beneficial effect from the enemy, which is very nice. So for every steal, you also apply that. So that is very nice in this whole meta where you have a lot of these buffers. Once again, if you want to snipe something out, this Q becomes very interesting. But we're not done yet there. We also have Reincarnate. Reincarnate is a special buff, and that removes 2 harmful effects. It applies Reincarnate. It gives a lot of healing, and it decreases the cooltime of Phantom Light Spirit fully. So is this Phantom Light Spirit? Yes, it is. So this skill actually comes up quite a lot by that. So this is definitely a unit you don't want to link, and it just does it by itself, kind of. Maybe you want to say like, okay, I want to use the Q skill on a specific unit, so it starts targeting that unit. It's also an archer, but it's an archer that has survivability because it actually removes harmful effects and heals herself. Then we have the passive, and the passive is damage of Noctorio Excursion is increased. So, oh wait, every time you do the Reincarnate, so the higher level of Reincarnate you have, which you get 2 per time, you do more damage on your basic attacks, which is pretty interesting as well. So these 2 skills stack towards the basic attacks, starting to do a lot of damage. Plus, she's constantly healing herself and removing harmful effects. She seems very good as a 1v1 kind of bruiser, or like a bruiser in general. So I would say very interesting unit. Then we have the ultimate, which I think won't be that much used on her. But Reincarnate level 4 right away, remove harmful effects, recover HP to the max, and then reduce all of the cooldowns on herself as well. I would say very interesting unit for Brawl, 100%. Then we go on to the Dark One. Dark One has also the Noctorial Excursion, but then as a more damage one, I guess. The idea works the same. If you're above level 6, you start doing that. What do we do with that? We have attack up to itself. That's pretty nice. So kind of has the vibes already of a Argon, but I think this one might be actually stronger than Argon. Because you also, the moment you do that, you have 20% damage up to the bosses. And with basic attacks, you also have damage on harmful effects, which is pretty nice for itself as well. What other skills do we have on this? We have the Phantom Light skill that also stacks poison. And when a critical hit occurs, we get the Phantom Light up. So you will need 100% crit rate on this, and this is probably also crit rate stacker. Yes, crit damage stacker, crit rate stacker. Okay. So let's see what we have with the E skill. E skill is movement speed up. I guess it's movement speed up for the whole team. So definitely, once again, it's similar to Shihwa, where it's mainly a unit for raids and those kind of things. Then we also, if you have higher level of light, we get, if you have 3+, you will get 7. Okay, interesting. If you have 3+, you will get Noctorio Excursion right away. Okay. If you have lower than 2, you will use this skill, which probably will give you more in the next round. And that is a 2 mana cost. Damn, that's pretty cool. Oh wait, is that Noctorio Excursion 2 which it uses? Oh, it uses Noctorio Excursion 2. So what is that? Applies attack up to itself, okay. Per cast, and then also damage based on the harmful effects of the enemy, and then once again also damage up. Okay, so technically you could, and it's a 2 cost 14 seconds, so I would arguably say that this is a very strong boss unit. Yeah, it's just a very strong boss unit. That's all there is to it, because I guess this attack scaling on its, or attack buff up for itself, is pretty easy to land. And you have extra damage for harmful effects, extra damage on bosses. Very, very strong boss unit. So yeah, that's my take on all of the nine-tailed foxes. I would say safest pick once again is the Soha, and Arang might be very good, I'm not 100% sure. And if you want a bossing unit, then one final thing I would like to add to all of this, whether you want to use your summons for this or not, is that we have a certain event coming up, which is the 100% blessing event. That will actually happen for a bunch of days, so between the 26th of May and the 15th of June. You will have a 100% guaranteed blessing. I'm not sure how many times, they don't really mention that specifically, but maybe all the time that you have blessing. So we will get 3 transcendent scrolls, so you already get 3 units right there. But if they reset your blessing as well, you have like what's total, like 9 blessings. You might want to save your scrolls for that and not summon on the nine-tailed foxes at all. So that is something you have to keep in mind. This is a very good event, and this is the first time ever, as far as I know, that they did anything like this. So very cool that they announce it, but therefore you, especially as free-to-play, you might think of like, okay, I'd rather maybe go for my specific unit on a higher awakening that I pulled a bunch of times. rather than going for these new units, which might be good, might not be that great, because you don't really know exactly yet. So that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe to the channel, and hope to see you in the next one.